So I've been doing youth ministry for about 10 years. I've been working with Gen Z for that time. And one thing it's taught me pretty quickly is if you really want to meet kids where they're at, it's going to take you to some uncomfortable places. If you want to reach kids that are desiring purpose, that are desiring a relationship with God, you have to get outside of your comfort zone to do that. And that might look like outside of your religious preferences, your doctrine, political agendas, whatever the case may be. You need to go meet those kids. And it makes me think of a skate park right by our church, and typical skater environment, drugs everywhere, rough kids, rough home lives. And I'll never forget first going into the skate park and, youth pastor freaking out a little bit because I grew up in church. I was used to people that were pretty polished and put together. And I come to this place and it's not. And I'll never forget looking over and seeing some kids that were in middle school just shooting up some drugs right in front of me. That made me uncomfortable. But what pushed me was my desire to see these kids have a relationship with Jesus. And so the more and more I've reached out to students in Gen Z, it's made me realize I need to abandon what I'm comfortable with, and I need to pursue these kids, just like Jesus has pursued me. Where he left heaven, which sounds pretty comfortable to me, came to earth, put on human skin. I need to do that for students. So if you want to pursue Gen Z, I would say this: be ready to be uncomfortable. It's going to take you to uncomfortable places. So I go into that skate park, it's uncomfortable, but I started to build relationships with these kids. And I started to build a relationship with this guy named Grant. And we talked about rock and roll, we talked about skateboarding, shredding the gnar, all that stuff. And over time we built a relationship. And there were some awkward, uncomfortable moments, but eventually it led to a point where Grant was ready to receive Christ. And that was so encouraging to me. And it wasn't like after that things went back to normal and the uncomfortability stopped. But it showed me, man, a relationship with Jesus is so awesome. And if I can bridge that gap and go to these Gen Z students and take on some discomfort, it's so worth it seeing guys like Grant get it and start that relationship with Jesus. So don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to go to those places no one else would go, because that might be your greatest opportunity right there. So be uncomfortable.